Okay, as I come across them, here's another example of black youth, in this case a female, under attack by a bullshit school system, and not even a bullshit school system, a bullshit racist ass assistant principal who apparently smelled marijuana on this young girl's hand. Not both hands, just one hand. The mother, upon being notified, took the girl, drug tested, no drugs in the system. Okay, now there was no smell of marijuana on the clothes, in the hair, just on one hand. Now, I have smoked my share of herb marijuana. And if you have marijuana only on one hand, there's only one reason to have traces of marijuana on one hand, and that's if you are smoking it, okay? You roll your joint, you light it up with the left hand or right, whichever you are, left-handed or right-handed. You put the joint in your mouth and you smoke it. You do not smoke it with two hands, you smoke it with one. Other than that, there is no reason why you should only have the smell of marijuana on your hand. And that's not, you don't get the smell of marijuana on your hand by transporting or passing an unlit joint. The joint is protected by paper, yet the smell is only the smell once it's lit. If it's not lit, you need a hell of a lot of marijuana, and I've been around a hell of a lot of marijuana, in order to obtain the scent of the dry odor, not the burnt odor, the dry odor. This school went after this chick, and I don't know if the assistant principal had a thing for this girl or not, but this sounds phony as hell. All the evidence appears to be on the side of the parents, and now the parent, okay, who did the right thing, now they got to go in and appeal this bullshit ruling and get this shit off this girl's record, because it will follow her when she applies for college. Now, you might not think it's that big of a deal, but let me tell you, when colleges look at applications and they see the records from these kids, if they see any kind of a drug record or a misdemeanor record, felony record, etc., they take that shit into consideration, and that they can use that in order to bar you, not bar you, but not accept you into a college. That's just it in a nutshell. Now, if we end up legalizing marijuana, which I hope someday that they do, then this wouldn't be that big of a deal. But for right now, in every state other than probably Colorado, Washington, California, they're probably more accepting of it, because they do a lot of marijuana in California, and maybe possibly New York. But any of these southern states, you can forget this crap. If she got that marijuana notice on her record, she's going to have an issue trying to get accepted to a southern school. Anyway, let's jump off into this story. And again, it's another instance where black youth are under attack, and this one is bullshit.
A high school student in Garner, North Carolina, suspended after being accused of smelling like marijuana. This happened in a town just south of Raleigh, North Carolina. Jaquila Johnson, a sophomore at Garner Magnet High School, says a school resource officer smelled marijuana in the hall and interrupted her class looking for the smell. The officer singled Jaquila out, after only a few minutes of searching, claiming her hand smelled like weed. Jaquila's mother, Tamika, a nurse, was alerted on the matter and responded to the school. She immediately took her daughter to get a drug test, which came back negative. Tamika brought the results to the school, hoping to get the suspension reversed and possibly an apology, only to be told her daughter was being suspended for possession, even though no drugs were ever found on her. We contacted the school and they issued this written statement, quote, If a student is suspended, she is provided information on how to file an appeal or grievance. If it's a first-time offense not involving distribution of an illegal substance, our policy offers students a short-term suspension if they agree to participate in a corrective action or counseling program. Our policy allows students to enroll in the required counseling but not complete the program until after they've had their suspension appeal hearing, which would allow them to return to school while they're waiting for their hearing appeal. Now, an appeal has been set for May 18th. Joining us via FaceTime is Jakayla and Tamika Johnson from Garner, North Carolina. So, Jakayla, I'm trying to understand. The resource officer said your hand smelled like marijuana.
Assistant principal.
Right?
No, the assistant principal did.
The assistant principal did. So, the resource officer who pulled you out, what did he or she say?
Well, the assistant principal pulled me out of the class. The resource officer, he really didn't say nothing.
Okay, so the assistant principal says your hand smells like marijuana.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Your left hand or your right hand? Did your jacket, did your blouse, your shirt, your pants, did any of that smell like marijuana? Just your left hand?
No, sir.
So the assistant principal only said your left hand smelled like marijuana.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm trying to understand, Tamika, I'm trying to understand here because you're a nurse and I've been around folks who smoke weed. Last I checked, your clothes are likely to smell like weed more so than your hand.
That's correct.
So as a mother, as a nurse, were you just dumbfounded when that was the explanation given?
Yes.
So explain this to me also. So they want you, they want your daughter to go to counseling, but she wasn't in possession. And so I'm trying to understand, what's the counseling for?
And that's what we want to know. What's the point of her taking this drug program if there was no possession, no drugs found on her?
Do you believe this is an example of a school to prison pipeline where someone makes an arbitrary decision and all of a sudden now your daughter has a record, now they're suggesting, now she's charged with possession, and has she been charged in criminal court or is this only in the school system?
It's only in the school system.
But it's also on her record.
Yes, they claim that it's not, it's just a school foul, but if she applies for college, it's going to follow her.
Has your daughter ever been in trouble at the school?
No.
Never in trouble. Jakayla, I gotta ask you, the other students who were there, who were in the hallway, they didn't talk to anybody else, just you?
Yes, I was the only person they talked to.
So if they said they smell marijuana in the hallway, you would think that if somebody was smoking marijuana, they probably would have more of a smell on them, more so than just the hand.
Yes.
True.
So you have this hearing on May 18th. Have y'all hired a lawyer? What's the whole process for this hearing?
No, we haven't hired a lawyer. We're just going to have to let ourselves go in and plead our case.
And who are you pleading the case to? Is it the school district? So who are you talking to?
It's just they pick random school officials, 3 on a panel, and they're going to hear the assistant principal side, and then they'll hear our side and make a decision.
All right, then. Well, certainly good luck with that. Thanks for joining us right here on News 1 Now TV 1.
Thank you.
I would hire a lawyer. I'm sorry. I would hire a lawyer and I would sue their asses because the girl passed a drug test. That means she hadn't used marijuana, alcohol. So her being in possession of it, they can't prove that because they searched her and she didn't have any on her. So they're going to charge possession where there is no possession, okay? She passes a drug test, so she's not using it. And you tell me how somebody could follow the scent of marijuana that wasn't smoked, because remember, she did a drug test, so she hadn't smoked any. So how could that odor be so pungent and only on her left hand? And she didn't smoke it. So either she was holding it while somebody else was smoking it, which is utterly fucking ridiculous, or they made this shit up. Anyway, let's go to the rest of the rest of the commentary.
Real quick to our panel here.
Roland, this is madness. I mean, there's a woman.
The hand.
The hand. Moni,
Just the hand.
Why are you smoking my hand?
Not the elbow,
No.
not the shoulder, not the shirt, not your hair. The hand.
But could you imagine your assistant principal like, let me smell your hand? Like,
But this is a process that has
Absolutely.
been targeting young women, young black women in our school system.
Exactly.
Kate Morris, her new book out called Push Out, talks about black girls are 16%
Right, hell no.
of the population, but 42% of all children who are expended are suspended from school. 36% of young people who are arrested at school. This is actually a targeted practice happening, targeting our young black girls. And we got to stop it.
And they're not learning. They're not in class.
Absolutely.
This is a waste of time and resources.
I mean, I was just struck by how we even reading the school statement, how it reads like, some official court document that's like, talking about the policies and hearings and possession. And it reads as if the student is actually going through the criminal system instead of actually a person who's trying to be educated through the school. I mean, it is system-wide, but it really says to me how punitive and how really criminalized even our school systems have become. It's very, very sad.
And it's the stigma of having it. It could be just a school thing, but every teacher, every professor will walk and say, "Oh, that's the girl. That's the girl that has a drug problem." This is not. This is, and the evidence.
Crazy.
And the evidence shows that she didn't have marijuana in her system.
Right.
All right then.
See, and what pisses me off further is this kid was probably a pretty smart kid, because they went into a class teaching Chinese to pull her out of there. I don't know about you, but Chinese is a really difficult language, and if this kid is up in there learning Chinese, to me that says that she's got some pretty high potential. Now they've caused this girl to miss a bunch of classes, 3 tests, and now she's got to struggle to catch up. So, like I said, I'd get a lawyer. I would sue the absolute shit out of them, all right, to make them stop. And if you'll notice, what state is this out of? North Carolina.